assessments and what needs to be done and all of that other piece to, my goal is not with my staff to be Common Core. My goal, my vision for my staff, and hopefully your vision as a math teacher, is to produce students who can apply mathematics to solve problems. Right? That's my goal, that's my vision. I use Common Core as a vehicle to get to that. Right? So by no means do I want you to sort of think Common Core is the goal. Common Core is going to change at some point. It is going to come and it is going to go. Right? I know you don't want to think about that right now, but I think it's good to think about that in terms of math and math education. So, I will start with what we know about PARC. And I mean this disclaimer. All information is current as of last week when I made the PowerPoint. It will and probably may change, okay? This is what we know right now. And this is kind of pieced together from PARC, from Smarter Balance, from Illinois ISBE, from whatever resources we can get. This is what we currently know. So by now, you are probably aware that in the 2014-2015 school year, the switch will, I will send one out.
I just didn't know how she read.
Yeah. That the light will go off the ISAT and the Explore Plan ACT, and light will go on the PARC assessment. I don't know what's going to happen with the ACT. I don't know that any of you really knows that piece yet. Whether that is going to still be used for college admissions is kind of in the college hands for them to say we still want the ACT as a college test. But the test that will be used to the No Child Left Behind test will be the PARC assessment starting the 2014-15 school year. So I'm going to go through the changes and kind of what to expect of that assessment. And I wish I brought my clicker.
What do you need?
The PowerPoint clicker, but that's okay. So let's talk about the Common Core standards, which I'm sure you've talked about before to this point, but the standards are designed to be robust and relevant to the real world, reflecting the knowledge and skills that our young people need for success in career and college. So this is a group of pretty smart mathematicians who got together and said, here are the skills that people need to be in order to be career and college ready. Something that I certainly hope from West Chicago High School we're producing students who are career and college ready. That would certainly be my goal. And then backtracking that through to all the way down to first grade and kindergarten to say this is where you need to be in all those benchmarks. The nice thing about it, at least for me and for other groups, is now we're all on the same standards. And we're all trying to get kids to the same point rather than high school, middle school kind of being on those different group of standards, which I am very excited about. So, what is PARC? For those of you who don't know, there are two assessment groups making assessments for Common Core, PARC and Smarter Balance. PARC is the Illinois state that's associated with PARC. Smarter Balance is the other half of the country. Smarter Balance seems to be a little bit further along in terms of producing pilot tests, test questions. If you actually want to, and I would highly recommend this, Smarter Balance does actually have a pilot test on their website. West Chicago folks, you'll be looking at it on Friday. So before you rush off to, I don't want you to, yes?
Just a quick question.
Yeah.
I didn't realize high school took an ISAT test. I thought you took like a Prairie State.
We take Prairie State.
So that also is going away?
That is going away.
Okay, so we'll,
The whole, as a No Child Left Behind assessment, those are all going away and it will all be PARC across the board. However, we don't know what's going to happen with the ACT piece. However, knowing the college readiness standards fairly well for mathematics, which are the association with the ACT. If you're preparing students for this, you're preparing students for the ACT. I would say the college readiness standards, on a spectrum are about in the middle. Common Core standards are somewhere over here. I really do believe that if you're preparing students for Common Core, they will do very well on the ACT. So, part of goal is to create a high quality assessment, build a pathway to career and college readiness for all students, support educators in the classroom. Wouldn't that be nice? Yeah, that's a good idea, isn't it? And then develop 21st century technology-based assessment and advanced accountability at all levels. So, some pieces for you to bear in mind. All these assessments will be technology-based. There are paper and pencil options, and they change as they go through the years. So like the first year, you have to meet a certain criteria to be paper and pencil based and pay money and et cetera, et cetera. Other than that, it's technology based. There are a fair few administrators around the state of Illinois that are losing sleep and hair and all kinds of things about that piece, but it is what it is.
That is huge.
It is huge.
Having the infrastructure, the technology.
Yeah. Technology, web bandwidth, enough computers per person, etc. So what will that look like? The final determination of career and college readiness is taken at the 11th grade. So similar to the ACT. So that's when part will say, you are career and college ready, off you go. That test will be in two parts. Part one is taken 75% of the way through the school year. That is a problem-based assessment. So a high task, here it is, one task with a lot of different points. The second part is 90% through the school year, which will be the end of year assessment, which is similar to a traditional math test, although it's obviously a little bit more conceptual, a little bit more Common Core aligned than maybe some other traditional measurements of math. There are also then two optional pieces, which are interim assessments. So those are optional for districts. And those goals are basically to be the formative piece along the way, by pre and post. With the Senate Bill 7 piece, and not to get this too, with teacher evaluations now being a link to student performance, I would imagine, and this is just me hypothesizing, a lot of districts will have both pieces. Any questions on that?
That's a lot of assessment, isn't it?
That is a lot of assessment. So certainly the conversation at where Chicago has started about final exams. If you actually plan out the two pieces, the 75% through the school year, you have 3 weeks to give that assessment. That goes into AP testing. If you put it on the calendar, you then have about a 2-3 week break, and then you're into your 90%. Our 90% window would actually go beyond the end of the school year. So we are hypothesizing again. We will be forming a committee through next year of administrators and teachers to kind of sit down and solve some of these issues. And we're imagining final exams will look different, things like that. Obviously, if you have a mixed class at the high school level, you might have juniors gone one day, sophomores gone a day, so, at least when I was talking to my teachers in science yesterday, they were talking about final quarter might be a big project, project-based piece for the whole quarter, just because of that piece. So again, this is just outlining those two summative components. Those two scores are going to be put together. So the 75 and 90% will be put together, and that's what will determine whether the student is career and college ready. The other big change is, go ahead.
You said that they'll be combined. Will one be weighted more than the other?
I want to say I believe so, but I'm not sure. And they haven't really come out and said how they're going to how they're actually going to grade that performance-based piece, which kind of scares me because obviously it's not a computer scoreable piece. You know, I think it's great. I think it's what we want. But I know there's been movements this way, and then there's been movements back just because of the money constraint of, you know, those of you who know anything about AP, you know, the money constraint of literally they put teachers up for a week and sit and grade for a week. I mean, it's not cheap. So,
Are these time tests, and how much time are they thinking this will take?
that's another good question. I'm trying to think. I believe both of these are like 80 minutes. And there is a document online on POC that goes through and gives you right at the bottom, and I will send it out when I send this. I'll send the PowerPoint to Ellen, I'll send that document as well. Down at the bottom it gives you, if you're in middle school, this is how long it would take. Obviously that's for a student without extended time.
Right.
So now you have a student with extended time. Right. And I know we looked at it, and when we looked at it, it was beyond a regular period. So there was, you know, it's not like you could just fit in an assessment during a 50-minute period. It was like an 80-minute assessment time for that student. And then you're talking about the issues of the technology and all those other pieces. Any other questions about this piece? And then obviously the other change is now each grade will be tested. So they're going to grade 10th grade, they're going to test 9th grade, 8th, 7th, 6th, all the way down. Those will be, you're on progress to be career and college ready, or you're not, and here are some of the deficiencies. So that's the purpose of that assessment. So you can imagine the change, at least at the high school level, from, you know, we have a week, 2 days, we test all of our grades, and they're all paper and pencil, so we can do it all in the same time, to now computerized assessments, 2 of them over the different times. So it's just going to mean a change. I'm sure there are, you know, we're going to figure it out, but just be aware as a teacher thinking that piece is going to bring some changes. So this is some more about the performance-based assessment. So the performance-based assessment, each grade level will include both short and extended response questions. It's focused on conceptual knowledge and skills and the mathematical practice of reasoning and modeling. So really they're focusing right there on, can the student reason, can the student model? And then the end of year assessment will comprise primarily of short answer questions focusing on conceptual knowledge, skills, and understanding. Overall results will be pointed in terms of a scale of performance level scores. Okay, so here is an example from, PARC. So if you go to the PARC website, it will take you to several examples. This is an example of a problem-based assessment that they would give to students. Yeah, you've seen this one? Okay. Sorry, I got to get new material now. Well, not present after 3 days.
No, we were excited because we used to do that mortgage project. Exactly.
And here's the solution with the grading rubric. Here's an example of an end of year assessment. Much more conceptual in nature. Much more.
What was that?
Okay, so some recent pieces that came out that I think are very helpful. This is again from PARC. These are the performance level descriptors. And this is quite a lengthy rubric-based document. Those of you who are not familiar with PARC, essentially PARC also came out with a piece that said, here are the pieces we're going to test at each grade level. If you haven't seen that, please go look at it. It's divided into 3 different pieces of content, and I will tell you our best understanding of this. There is major content, which is major content. It's the major piece of what the assessment is going to be. There is some additional and supporting content. What we believe that is going to be is pieces that are not directly assessed, but a student might need to know even to access the problem. So the example that necessarily I would give is in geometry, there's a goal about basically knowing the vocabulary of geometry, parallel lines, things of that nature. If I don't know what a parallel line is, when they ask me about those parallel lines, I can't even access the question. So that's kind of those supporting documents. And then there's obviously the mathematical practice piece as well. This document is broken down into each of those components. So there's a piece about the major, which is subclaim A, one of the major components. Subclaim B is the supporting components, and subclaim C is the additional or the math practice piece. So it gives you an indication of if I'm looking at a standard on expressions, right? Although there are multiple standards on expressions, I can at least go in here and say, what does it mean to have this command? When we go into the work we've been doing in West Chicago, I'm going to talk about leveling. And we've done some leveling of the curriculum. This is a piece you can go to see what the level of rigor required from PARC is. Okay, this is what the model content framework looks like. Have you seen this? Yes? So this is the piece with the supporting documents and all those other pieces in there.
So this is stuff you'll want to make sure you have a look at.
Yes. And I'll ask you what you want me to send you at the end, and what you've seen and what you haven't seen. I can send you everything via links or whatever.
I'm sorry. The model framework, the one that you had.
This one?
That one? Where's that from?
This is from PARC, and this is PARC saying, out of the Common Core document, this is what's going to be on the assessment. Okay, so this is a way of taking, and I'll give you an example. When we started our work, we started with Appendix A of the Common Core document for Algebra 1. If anybody's looked at Appendix A, the algebra course is like massive. It's huge, and you're like, right? We used this document to really narrow that piece down and say, okay, let's focus on where the assessment is focusing on. Okay.
And Allister, is this is the setup there where they have some of them marked with the green?
Yeah. So the green is. Let me remember this. The green is the major content of the course, right? Which should make sense when we look at it. This is Algebra 1. You know, interpret the structure of instructions. That's a major content within. Then yellow is additional and blue is supporting, I think is how they do it.
I was thinking those are reversed, but I could easily be wrong.
I could be wrong too, and I apologize for not.
But it's the green ones for sure.
The major
I
content.
want to be sure that you're.
And I'm trying to find blue is supporting, because using units to solve problems is a supporting piece. So blue is supporting. I was looking for that one myself.
Did Jenny say, I thought Jenny said that.
She did that.
They're all gonna be on.
Yes, they're all going to be tested, but like, for example, they use units to solve problems. I don't think they're ever going to specifically assess that problem.
I think she just said it so we didn't skip it, is what she was saying.
No, don't
Say that
skip
again.
anything.
I think she just mentioned that so we didn't skip anything.
Right.
Right.
I mean, when we actually first started this, I thought we could skip.
Right.
When I first saw it.
Yeah.
You